That building that you're looking at, I'm going to go to the bankruptcy court now, file my appeal, and maybe put in more motion. I'm not going to have any judge continue to silence me with their threat, with their 5 minutes justice, with their unjust enrichment, with the more so lying, working together. The bankruptcy court is functioning pretty much also like Wall Street and banks. It's there for their own financial gain, to set people up for a kill with unjust enrichment, to have trustee judges do bias, malice and prejudice against us to financially ruin us, and then just try to silence us so we can go away. No, these things is credit bureaucracy that totally ruin our portfolio, rob from our retirement fund, and anybody can rob me, just like trustee, as a lawyer would once tell me, trustee Michael love black woman. What that have to do with me? What that have to do with me if he send me to another con artist on Hillside Avenue the time? What that have to do with me? That don't have nothing to do with me. You understand? So we have to talk about it. I don't know what's her problem when I'm talking on my phone, like she putting out her hand as if, you know, I'm not doing my wrongs, as you can see. But actually today's date is, if I'm sure, August 3rd, 2023, and the time is roughly close to 11 a.m. if I'm sure. Let me try to, if I try to disrupt this right now, it's gonna be a whole other ball game. Maybe it's best I don't even touch it. So these judges act like they above the law and beyond the law, and violating the United States Constitution, for people freedom, people housing, people job, people income, people portfolio in general, or asset or home taken under void sale, void deed with federal law in Brooklyn Bankruptcy Court under Section 362 and 1301, whereas the judges them overlooking these federal bankruptcy rule and its constitution, that our forefathers and all the forefathers wrote the constitution to protect one and all under just as much. So no judges is above the law. So I don't know why this Judge Jill going to tell me about Judge Carla E. Crane to keep up the malice, the prejudice, the bias, the corruption, the lies, the wrong. They messed up. They totally messed up with void sale, void deed foreclosure, where judges, trustee and all others with the bank and Wall Street, not for us, not for protecting our equity in our home or our children, and we mustn't talk about it. We mustn't talk about the separation, the segregation, the slavery, the murder and the threat they do to us to shut us down. We mustn't talk about damage, injury, trauma, mental anguish and more that they threaten our life under, our livelihood with our family and our children under, while they put us in jail and more, and separate us and destroy the family financially and refuse to house us adequately. Refuse to admit the crime with the unjust enrichment, the slavery ass mentality that we have to endure in the United States of America. America wasn't for Africa with apartheid, a system of apartheid. Themselves here is a system of apartheid. a system of slavery and much, much more. My fourth parents didn't get to ask for restitution, and that much they need to give up and give me retroactive relief with my restitutional damages and more that they did to injure us and financially ruin us as they rob and thief our portfolio. Anything that is my house with home equity and more that I build a brand new house from lead-based poisoning to protect my kids, them safety under New York City, New York State lead-based rehabilitation, and a bank soliciting to refinance us. While I was even closing and trying to close another acquisition with income and equity coming from my house. I was renting my house as a bed and breakfast to tourists. And thank God for evident package such as loot if I have to go in and say, you know, loot supposed to be an England newspaper, for example. Maybe I could one day talk about that evident package and more. Because I was advertising through the loot to rent my house to tourists. To any tourists, more or less, who come to New York City and could not afford to be in a hotel due to the price and the rate, daily rate of rooms, etc., etc. I would rent $25 a day. On average, they wasn't even wrong. They just come and tour New York City and leave in the day and come back late at night just to sleep. And when you have a bed and breakfast and other income and job coming from your house with your home equity built up and all, that is part of our nest egg with our retirement fund, with our taxation. They totally ruin us under, to rob from us, to not have us file the necessary, to do more so insurance fraud, because when bank and all others foreclose with bankruptcy court, we need to be questioning the type insurance fraud these banks and Wall Street and courts doing too, just as much. Everything in life for some reason carries some form of insurance. See? And maybe as they foreclose on a lot of people's house, they go in and pull and ask for insurance. And all these things is fraud upon the court. Fraud upon the court, not just to rob people once, but to create insurance fraud and much, much more fraud upon the court. So we got to talk about it, because we the people is the true government as taxpayers, and we're being robbed out of our asset, robbed out of our portfolio, robbed out of our house with void sale, void deed fraud, and also our home equity that bankruptcy judge and trustee and others for the United States government and agencies liquidating wrongfully. See? You can't liquidate a man equity like we owe Uncle Sam far more than we didn't owe Uncle Sam. That's how they set it up too. That's how these dirty trustees set it up. Like I didn't go to Uncle Sam for find out the time what's what. So we have to talk about these things, because the slavery still around us in many aspects. Our fourth parents fought against slavery. They're talking about slavery abolished when it's straight up in our face. It's in our face each and every day. We see it and we know it and we live it and we feel it. See? If everybody don't live it and feel it, thank God at least I walk in my fourth parents' shoes to know slavery is still up in our face. See? Type power struggle and financial ruin and worse they do to us to damage us. Like they want to put us to sleep. You know, like they digging a hole to bury us. Threatening our life and all with cases of harassment and having judges, trustee. If you ever hear how the trustee barked the last time I told Judge Carla E. Crane when I was asking to reopen my bankruptcy and tell her about even my trustee Michael send me to a crooked ass address where a foreclosure consultants work with the very same lawyer trustee Michael send me to. That crooked ass foreclosure consultants took $800 worth of my money and tell me burn down the house. Miss Cole, you need to burn down the house. It don't work nothing. If it don't work, nothing outcomes. Lawyers, investors, judges and all others corrupt this case so badly and want to talk about mistake and error. When Judge Cat was evicting me, she dismissed it first during a bomb threat in Queen Civil Housing Court. And at the said time, she had before we even come out of the court, everybody had us to come out the court and come out to see 5 fire truck out there. Thank God for picture page memory. See? She did ask the Queen Civil Housing Court lawyer to call the bankruptcy court lawyer. So the bankruptcy court lawyer and them was negotiating my fate during that bomb threat. After the fire department lift the bomb threat and tell us to go back into the court, and near hour or two later, the judge is gonna tell me she want to call 6 more case before mine because she have the decision on my case. She now have the decision on my case and she want to call 6 more case. So she did call it eventually and warned the lawyer loudly, stop harassing me over my house. How dare you bring this woman in court under a case of harassment as she alleged with her chapter 13 filing, where she alleged also void sale, void deed foreclosure, much less eviction. And she did tell me go on home, I won my case. And I said, no, not so fast, Your Honor. Give me paper. Give me paper. That judge misconduct is so bad that she turn and start bark at me. How dare I tell her, give me paper. I asked for paper that I would have it to prove to even the bankruptcy court or anybody else that I won my case with her. But then a month later, the crooked ass judge called it up back, and then she gone said to me, oh, bankruptcy court called and said they made an error. I mean, and near 20-25 days later, she called it back in court now. And she's gonna allege she dare remember this case. And how dare I told her a lie, because I said, yo, man, I'll stand up before you and make you call me liar. Because I dare remember it too. I remember how you wouldn't give me my win paper because I'm such a nice woman and it didn't come to sue. And I should have come to sue when she called me liar in all appeal and more. But it's not too late to ask for restitution for all these wrong that these judges committing with fraud. Fraud upon the court. She then said she gonna evict me. So I said, do what you have to do. I'll do what I have to do to go and appeal it. See? And come back to bankruptcy court before Judge Carla E. Crane, then later to reopen my case. The judge gonna look at me and said, go back to Judge Cat and Judge Levy, who took it wrongly and evict me wrongly. No, the bankruptcy court judges them is just as much accountable for lying. For lying, they messed up. They know about the deed fraud that continue to plague the nation. And I was watching, for example, a financial documentary on the internet, I think YouTube, just the other day, when a lawyer was saying bankruptcy court wasn't designed to protect people and their house. It was designed for banks and Wall Street. And I'm going to write up a motion just the same way, just the way the lawyer expressed it deeply in his podcast or documentary on YouTube, to say, just as he said, it wasn't designed to protect people with their equity, just to be like banks and Wall Street to rob people of their portfolio. So now I get the logic of what a lawyer was trying to say, as he was explaining pretty much on that podcast, to say, yeah, I want to think bankruptcy, the court designed to help, you know? It's worse than the bank and Wall Street. That's what the man that try express to us. So I have to talk about it. I have to put it in that you guys learn from everything and anything that I'm saying. I myself have learned from it and is still learning. But I'm holding them accountable. They have to pay out for the wrong that they did to me. They trying to, you know, lie, and continue to lie. They don't want to pay me. Can you imagine I'm in the right, I got all bar and sanction over these people wrong? These average judges mistake. As they said, the most mistake creditors make. So if bankruptcy court working more with the bank, they themselves behaving and act like they are our creditors just as much over debt. Debt with our equity is who's robbing who. That's the whole thing I'm talking about. You messed up when maybe you didn't look into my equity and the liquidation of my house wrongfully, as you corrupt the system and you tell lies, you throw us under the bus, you try to silence us with bar and sanction and think it gonna go away. No, not so fast. Hold your corner and stay alive, just the way your dad do to me and my kids, them to try to silence us, if not murder us under the type slavery we're living under. Said speed. The same slavery up in our face. It's all white collar crime with these banks, Wall Street executive, court judges and all other courts. You have good judge and bad judge anyhow, no, I don't think. I'm not looking out for the judge them who will uphold the law and the Constitution. You have judges who is a buyout and a sellout to the system. Take bribery and much more to corrupt the system and think people must run. So let me just go and do my due diligence to go back in, file my appeal, and even throw some circuit court docket sheet back on the bankruptcy court to let them know what goes around comes around, in your face back.